afraid I've got some bad news. I knew it. I love when he does that.
Well, once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up. So good luck, okay? Good luck.
You say rock bottom, but, like, it just seems like things keep getting worse. What is rock bottom? Who decides what's the bottom of all this? I mean, seriously, you go, okay, today is Friday, and I woke up in Cleveland, and I'm going, how much worse can it get?
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 272 of the Hoots podcast. It's yours truly, Nefarious Brett Adam, talking to you live from the Good Brothers Studio in Chicago, Illinois. It's Thursday, August 26, 2021. Boys, ladies and gentlemen, we're a couple weeks off from football getting started. Are you excited for it? I'm excited for it. There's a lot of things to be excited for, especially on my end. My favorite wrestler is back in wrestling. Who would have thunk it, right? We're going to get to that in a couple minutes, but I just want to say thank you to everybody who comes and goes out of their way to listen to the podcast, whether it's for 5 minutes, if you listen to the whole show. Regardless, me and Brett Carter appreciate your support each and every single week, so I just want to say really quick thank you for those who take the time to hang out with us each week. Like I said, my name is Joshie. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Lopez Media. Make sure to hit me up on Instagram if you like at Joshie Lopez 94 at JOSHIE Lopez 94. And if you want to see me do some guitar covers, all you have to do is hit up Josh Lopez Music. Also, make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscripts.com That website is where I have all my play-by-play result pieces for literally every wrestling show that's out there right now that I have the time to cover. I got 2 pay-per-views that I got to do this weekend for the NWA. We got NWA Empowerrr and NWA 73rd anniversary show this weekend in St. Louis. I'll be giving you guys a little small preview of that before our main event segment of the podcast this week. Also, like I said, make sure to check out ProWrestlingTranscripts.com, and if there's a show you don't have time to catch up with, it's a point of reference website for you guys to go check out and catch up with what's going on with some of your favorite wrestling shows and maybe some of your least favorite wrestling shows. So check it out, ProWrestlingTranscripts.com. And then one last thing before we get to the plugs for the podcast is concerned, make sure to check out my work on the SME Network. I do analyst work on there with Andrew Bandala and Blake Mitchellmore, and I appreciate those guys for giving me a platform and shooting shit with those guys. It's been a lot of fun doing that for the last 4 or 5 months and getting used to doing the analyst thing and hopefully not embarrassing myself on there. So you can check out my work on the S&D Network as well. And then finally, with plugs for the podcast, all I ask is for you guys to subscribe to the podcast, whether it's youtube.com/the Hoots Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast from. Let's expand the reach of the show. We're over past 310,000 plays and downloads on Anchor, which is awesome. You guys continue to amaze me with the outreach and numbers that we get each week. It's really humbling, and it's not all about numbers here with the Hoots Podcast, but the fact that we do get the amount of people that listen to our show each week, it really means a lot to me. So thank you guys for that. And then, like I said, we want to gauge your opinion. This is a very interactive show, and I want you to express your opinion. Let the world know what you think about the Hoots Podcast. So if you have an Apple Podcast account, please do us a favor and go out of your way to leave us an honest review. It's out of 5 stars, so you can let us know what you like or don't like about the podcast. Leave us a review on there on Apple Podcasts, and we'll give you a shout-out on there if you guys could do that favor for us. So thank you. All right, plugs are out of the way. Now, usually at this part of the podcast, I would come on here and get straight into the Good Bros Q&A session, but something big went down on Friday night. And I made a promise on Twitter that I was not going to wait till later on into the AEW segment that we do each week to talk about this this amazing experience that went down on Friday night. But I wanted to just go straight to the cut and speak from the heart and let you guys know what my thoughts was of what happened on Friday. So we're not going to waste time. Let's do it. So, if you've been living under a rock, CM Punk is back in wrestling. CM Punk made his debut for AEW on Friday, August 20th at the United Center for AEW Rampage. I was not the only person of wrestling content galore that was at this event. I know my guy, Deidrin, Don Julio, I think the good brother Sam Pioppo was there. I didn't know that. I wish I was able to go meet up with him. I didn't know he went to the show. So Sam was there. I was there. Hoodie was there. There was a lot of us, like the media contingent of people who cover wrestling here in Chicago that went to the event. And the event was sold out. It was over 15 to almost 16,000 people at the United Center for this event. And I'll talk about my other experience of watching AEW for the first time in person and what the hell is wrong with AEW. But I wanted to keep this separate from that comedy center because this is a very emotional experience for me to see basically my favorite wrestler of all time besides The Undertaker return to wrestling for the first time in 7 years. If you asked me if I thought CM Punk was going to come back to wrestling this year, I would tell you no. I think a large part of me felt like it just wasn't going to happen, and I thought he was just going to stick to his guns and, have his stance on why he doesn't love wrestling anymore. And you know, of course, obviously, it's the worst kept secret in the world that he was going to show up in AEW. But for me, I just wanted to have that believe it when I see it approach. And I thought about it a lot. You know, it was very emotional for me, not only for a personal standpoint, but also a professional standpoint. Like, I mentioned before here in the podcast, my first day of doing transfers, like the result pieces, was literally the day he left the WWE. So I never really had the chance to cover my favorite wrestler as it was going on. I have done like some like throwback transcripts of a couple matches that he had. I think I did one with him and The Rock from Rumble 2013, but I haven't. I didn't get the chance to cover CM Punk while I was in like the media and stuff. So to have this opportunity to say like, hey, every week or every other week or no matter how many appearances he's going to be making for AEW, I'm going to get into the groove of be like, hey, my favorite wrestler is going to be back on television, wrestling, cutting promos, doing this, doing that. And I was like, wow, that's the first thing that came to my mind. And then it gets to going into the United Center. And the United Center is literally like a 5-10 minute drive away from my mom's house. I've been to countless events at the United Center. And, you know, I was probably too young to really appreciate and experience what the level of noise that came with Michael Jordan when he was with the Bulls. But when CM Punk came out for Rampage, when he made his debut, was it was a special moment. I'm not going to come in here and do comparisons and comps as far as like what sounds better from a reaction, CM Punk at the United Center or CM Punk at the Allstate Arena, because they're just two different buildings. Allstate Arena has the acoustics. I'm not going to get into that. It's not really important to make comparisons of what was the better reaction when CM Punk showed up at AEW or his Money in the Bank entrance. I'm not really going to do that. That's not really what I want to talk about. I got choked up, folks. I did. I got choked up. I know a lot of people were some jackasses on social media were going after a guy that got caught on TV crying when he came out. They're like, "Oh, it's not really that serious. It's just fake wrestling. I don't know why you're crying." I got choked up too. Does that make me a mark? Does that make me a weirdo that I got emotional seeing my favorite wrestler come back to wrestling? I don't know. I don't know why people feel like they have to be the authority on every fucking thing in life these days, but that's just me. I'll say this. It was really emotional for me. I did not think this day was going to come, but I'm really glad that I went to the show. Those who listen to the podcast know that I'm not the biggest fan of AEW and what they do and some of their snarky attitudes that their product comes off with sometimes. I'm not really a guy that comes out here just because they're the new company. I'm going to kiss their ass and put everything. I'm not going to put everything they do over just because they're the new company. But I went to the show not for AEW purposes. Yeah, it's cool as a wrestling fan to be like, hey, I went to an AEW show, you know. But I went to the United Center for CM Punk on Friday, and I'm glad that I did. And right as he came out, and it's the cult of personality, I do love to do like entrance graphics that they had on there. I thought that was really cool. It was just one of those experiences I wish any wrestling fan could have when they see their favorite wrestler come back from an injury or wrestler wins a championship or something like that, some special moment. I wish that for any wrestling fan to really go out of their way to experience that, you know? I think for me, just being there at the show really was special in the fact that I just never thought this day was going to happen. I started choking up. You guys saw the pictures I posted on social media of me being there, and it was just 25 minutes that I'll never forget. For those who don't know why CM Punk's my favorite wrestler of all time, I kind of talked about this in a thread that I'm going to read to you on Facebook that I posted the other day. Let me pull this up real quick so I can find this. But like, I can't come here and lie to you guys. I really got emotional. Very few times where I got emotional at a wrestling show while I was there, like live in person. But I couldn't. It's just it was like really, really touching in a lot of ways. Just how he went about explaining what happened. You know, he was saying for anybody that felt disappointed about what he did or any of his decisions during that process, he tried to give some clarity to stuff like that. And I thought I couldn't agree more with everything he said. You know, and that I always say that. Here at the podcast too is like, if you're not getting what you need from somebody emotionally, spiritually, or whatever, you got to move on and do your own thing. And I don't feel like Puck needed to explain anything to us Puck fans why he left, but that just shows the character of the guy that he is, you know. So I wrote out this thread on Twitter. Stating why Punk was my favorite wrestler. So I'm going to read this verbatim, and then we'll get into the Q&A. I think it's very important for me to state the biggest reason why CM Punk is my life idol, role model, etc. has much more to do with who he is as a person than what he's done in the business. You know, when I hear CM Punk talk and how he carries himself, it reminds me a lot of me. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there who don't like him, and that's more power to them. Friday was a very emotional night for me. Like, I mentioned what I mentioned earlier before the whole thing about me doing the first night of transfers and he was gone. I said, here you go. I'm going to get to transcribe his matches in AEW. I already typed out his promo, his Rampage promo, which was the promo of the year. I didn't think this was going to happen again. To address the obvious, him being in AEW has no effect on me. I just want him to be happy with what he's doing. Some may not believe it, but I don't have a personal disdain for AEW. A lot of their content and in-ring action / attitude is a hit or miss with me. But there's talented aspects about AEW I do like. Their fans are still morose, jaded dicks, but it is what it is, you know? I think any wrestling fan handles their fandom for their favorite performers in different ways. I didn't need to pump out my chest about CM Punk being the most authentic wrestling performer in the last 15 years or that he was a massive draw or etc. to prove my level of fandom of his. I first saw CM Punk wrestle for Ring of Honor. Outside of him being a Cubs fan and dyeing his hair yellow back then, there's very few things I didn't have in common with CM Punk. Hence why I call him my hometown idol. Like how he cuts his promos, his message, his work ethic reminded me of myself and what I wanted to do. Like him, I've always strived on proving people wrong and being the best in the world at my craft. But I also wanted to change things for the better no matter what I was doing. The ambition, the chip on his shoulder, whatever you want to call it, either you have it or you don't. I wasn't going to be defined by the opinions of other people, and neither was he. The straight edge aspect to Punk, the person, was another reason why I connected to him. I've lost a lot of family members and other close friends and stuff to alcohol and drug use, far more than I want to admit, to be honest with you. Now, straight edge isn't only about not smoking or drinking. It's a lifestyle. It's a motto. It's something you embrace and carry with you no matter what life throws at you. Having that do-it-yourself mindset that you guide yourself through all the shit that life throws at you. You embrace your independence, and when you're not getting what you need from other people, whether it's family or friends, it's time to move on and continue on your own path because it's your life and story at the end of the day, no one else. Never forget that, guys, okay? I always say that. Be the authentic product that is yourself. regardless of what went down with him in WWE, I was not going to miss that moment of his return just because he went to AEW. I would have traveled to Japan. I would have traveled to any place. I was going to go to any place that this moment was going to happen. I was not going to miss that moment for anything. Also, like when Punk had his moment at Money in the Bank 2011, I said it before, but it was that night I knew I wanted to work in the industry in any capacity to one day possibly be a wrestling play-by-play guy. If my hometown idol could change the industry, why couldn't I? Anything is possible. So here's the other part here. I walked into the UC on Friday just saying to take a deep breath, take in the energy because this moment will never happen again. If you cry, cool. If you mark out, fucking do it. I'm glad I took the pics and the videos I did because they came out really good, and they were very quick. I spent like 2 or 3 minutes as far as like taking pics and stuff while he was making his entrance and stuff. But once he like cut his promo after that commercial break, I was just watching the promo for what it was and taking in that experience and stuff that I'm never going to get and not worry about my phone or Twitter or anything like that. So I had to put the phone down and just enjoy this segment for what it was. The promo was special. I'm not going to come in here and repeat it. It's out there. It's on the AEW YouTube channel. You can go find it. But, of course, Punk's going to cut an awesome promo on his return. So, there was many moments in the early part of my media career where I got like snarky style comments about me being a CM Punk fan or being a CM Punk mark. I got that a lot when I was at Wrestle Zone. Me and Adam, I had to deal with a lot of that shit, especially when Punk had his UFC fights. But at the end of the day, for me, for any CM Punk fan or loyalist, or whatever the hell you want to call us, Phil Brooks, the man, is the fucking man. Period. End of story. What you see with him is him. What you see with me is me. I think that's just another thing from being from Chicago. But I just think when I see CM Punk, he reminds me of everything I want to be out of my. He's everything that I want to be in this life, and. Yeah, I wrote here, I'm bummed out that I won't get to see Punk's first match in AEW because All Out is sold out. I don't know why they're doing a show at the Hoffman States, but whatever. But I did say here, I do want to thank Tony Khan for making that moment happen at the United Center. Regardless of me not drooling over everything they do, I want AEW to succeed. I really do. I did order the shirt. Friday night was wild. I was on such an emotional high that I just got even more motivated. And it's like I gotta take my stuff that I'm doing right now to the next level. And maybe one of these days I'm calling CM Punk's last match. You never know. Like stuff like that came to my head when I saw him in the ring doing the promo on Rampage. I just got this other big bolt of adrenaline and motivation inside of me that right as I got back home from United Center, I literally caught up with every transcript that I owed everybody that night. And I didn't go to bed till 7:30 the morning of SummerSlam. I went all out. Pardon the pun, to give you guys the content you guys deserve because that's just the person I am. So I did order the shirt right after I woke up. I haven't got it yet. I sent it out to my mom's house. So I have to go pick it up later on this week. I'm here in my apartment. But yeah, my favorite wrestler is back. And hearing the promo in person was just another reason why I connected with Punk in the first place and why I wanted to work in the industry. So thank you, Punk, for being the inspiration for me and making the city proud. The last couple things I wrote here was I'm excited to cover his journey in AEW. No matter what happens, I'll always support Phil Brooks. I hope one day I get to meet him and would love to have a conversation with him. But yeah, that's my takeaway from what happened on Friday. A really, really special night. I was just taking in that my all-time favorite wrestler was back, and I wasn't thinking about WWE or some of the stupid stuff that a lot of the content creators and Twitter people do these days. It's not about the tribalism shit. CM Punk is back in wrestling. Who cares about AEW versus WWE? Who really gives a shit about that? My favorite wrestler is back. That's what makes me happy. I thought the segment was everything it needed to be, and then some. I did say the only thing that was missing for me personally was not celebrating that moment in person in general with Adam. I haven't got a chance to hear from Adam in a while. I know he's keeping busy. I'm happy for everything that he's doing right now. I still love him. That's still my brother. I haven't had a chance to hear from him in a while, but I was thinking about him the entire time too while the segment was going on. And our guy's back, so shout out to CM Punk, shout out to Punkster, and it was a really, really, really special moment, and one of my favorite moments that I got to see in wrestling for me. I'm glad that I went. It's just another reason why I want to work in the industry, and I'm going to make that happen one day. I'm going to make that happen one day, and that's the goal. And if I do get a chance to call CM Punk's last wrestling match, that'd be awesome. If I get to meet CM Punk one day, that'd be awesome. But yeah, it's I'm glad he's back, and I really wish you guys that weren't able to go to the show on Friday were there. By the way, the ice cream bars were good. I enjoyed that. I wasn't able to get a shirt at the United Center. The I Was There one. That one's going to kind of bum me out that I didn't get it, but the fucking concourse there is so packed. I was probably going to miss the rest of the show of just standing there. But to be honest with you, I probably should have just stood in the concourse area because there wasn't really much to watch for Rampage after that segment was over. But this is the part where I can separate my thoughts of the week-to-week stuff and talk more about what's more important, what's great about professional wrestling. It's not about talking about booking. It's not talking about things that don't matter. It's about what does wrestling pull out of you as a person? What does wrestling do for you and stuff like that? Professional wrestling has always been the greatest life escape for me. And CM Punk is another big reason for that. It's another reason why he was the idol of mine. It's like, if he could do something, I could do it. And you know, that's just what it is. Like, I'm not going to come here and be embarrassed. Like, yeah, I got choked up that my favorite wrestler came back. So it was a really, really, really special moment. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on CM Punk coming back to wrestling. All right, let's light up the mood. Let's get to the Good Words Q&A. We didn't get a lot of questions this week, which is fine. I got questions from Chris and Nate this week, the usual suspects. So I'm scrolling up to find Nate's questions here, then we'll get going. We're going to start off with Chris here. He's at Twitter at XT1124X. But before I get to the questions, let me take a quick swig of water. Ah, yes. All right, here we go. With Punk back, do you think it's possible that we could get AJ Lee return as well? I mean, it's not out of question. I think it'd be a good thing for her that she may do some stuff on AEW, but I think that's all dependent on her. Just from my observations, I think she had her fill of what she wanted to do in wrestling. I do. Maybe she makes a surprise appearance or something like that. I got no idea. I'm not going to speculate, but it would be nice to see her back one day, but not counting on it. I mean, it was cool here at Punk last night, give the shout out to AJ. I thought that was really cool. So, I mean, it's certainly possible. It's just up to her. I'm not going to rush it to that. Let her decide when she wants to return, you know? Next question. Do you think Roderick Strong will get an NXT title run eventually? The main NXT title? I don't think so. I think he'll probably be on Raw and SmackDown before that's even a possibility. I like the new attitude. I like Dynamite. I like his new approach to things, but I don't see Roderick Strong as the main NXT World Champion. I just don't see it. Interesting question here. He says, will fans allow Becky to be a heel this time? I don't know what the hell the fans will allow these days, Chris. You should know that answer before I even say it. I don't know what these people want. I don't know. It's like one thing they want this, the next they want that. I'm gonna break down the whole Bianca BelAir, Becky Lynch controversy in the SummerSlam review. So stay tuned with us. I'm gonna break that down, and it's like some of you allow your perception of what booking is and what is to cloud your judgment sometimes, and it's like I'm not going to get into it right now. I'm going to save it for the review. Would you keep Seth and Becky away from each other in any possible pairing story-wise? Again, that's up to them. I'm not going to speak on relationship stuff involving wrestlers. They can do what they want. I think I've heard Seth say in interviews that he probably wouldn't want to do another angle with Becky, but again, I'm just going to let that play out between the both of them. Thoughts on Eddie and Chris from NAI and their return last week. I have a lot of respect for the New Age Insiders. I had a fun podcast that I did a few months ago with Eddie McCabe, formerly known as Liam Stryker for the New Age Insiders. He was not catching up with. It was a lot of fun getting to interact with him. I consider him a good friend. I haven't really had a chance to talk to Chris since I was in Orlando for WrestleMania 33, but I always giving credit where credit's due and expressed my appreciation for what New Age Insiders has done for the wrestling media community and podcasting community, and they deserve their flowers. And the feedback they got from doing their review show this weekend was really cool to see. I got to listen to the show, and irregardless of anything of stuff that's gone on over the years, I'm happy that they're back and looking forward to seeing what else they pump out as far as content is concerned. Because Eddie and Chris are very talented at what they do, and I think there's a place for them in this wrestling media world, and they deserve to showcase their opinions and stuff like that. And I enjoyed their return podcasts over the weekend, and I was happy that they came back to do that. I don't know what's going on with them. It's just gonna be a new weekly thing or bi-monthly thing. We'll have to see how that goes. But I have a lot of respect for Chris and Eddie, and I'm glad that the people that are really into the New Age Insiders got to embrace that podcast that dropped the other day. So I thought that was really cool. Last question for Chris. He says, my next fantasy draft is September 5th. Currently picking 6, being offered trades from the 7 and 8 spots. Do I move or stay? My advice is probably to stay. I don't like pivoting too much when it comes to trades and draft decisions, because I just rather take best available at the time for whatever I need for the position. That's my approach. So that's what I would do. Good questions, though, Chris. You always bring it, my man. Next batch of questions comes from Nate the Great in Minnesota. Apologies in advance to your Minnesota Twins and Vikings this season. Follow me on Twitter by the way, at Psycho Gary. He says, what for you, this is an interesting question, what for you makes a great match great? Man, that's an awesome question, because I think for me, I am partially desensitized. Like, I am not completely jaded to every style of wrestling, but it really takes a lot to pull out the fan emotion in me while I'm transcribing the match. I think it's something like that. If it's something that it gets me off my seat. I'm not a big spoiler guy, and I know New Japan tapes their shows and stuff in the morning and stuff like that, but I like covering the event as it was and not expecting outcomes like that. So when I get surprised by an outcome or a kick out or something like that, I think that's what it takes from a good match to a great match. I mean, of course, you go and say when a crowd's just clapping after like 20 minutes in and these guys are just tearing the house down and stuff like that. But I really think it's the emotional pull that tugs at you midway or towards the final stages of a match. And I know it's not an easy thing to do because people have ADD these days when it comes to professional wrestling consumption. But the good ones make great moments and great memories, and they pull something out of you. So I think that's what makes a great match, is the ability to either throw you off the loop. A great match could be even a decision that you didn't think it was going to go. I think a lot of us, too many times, to let our favorites dictate whether a match was good or not. Oh, my favorite lost to that match sucked. Oh, my favorite didn't win a match, so that match ruined the entire pay-per-view for me, even though it was an awesome match, you know? I see that all the time on Twitter. But I think for me, what makes a great match is not the spots that you do. It's not the number of false finishes that you do. It's the story and how you carry yourself through that sequence. And that's, for me, what makes a great wrestling match. Who are a few underappreciated talents? Great question. I mean, I could go across the entire industry. I mean, I think Rosemary in some ways is kind of underrated. I know she's a popular character in Impact Wrestling, but I think she's underrated for what she does in the ring. Baron Corbin, of course. Baron Corbin's been killing it on social media this week. I love the whole new shtick that he's doing. It's fucking hilarious. Who else? I mean, I think guys like Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi from New Japan are kind of underrated. They've been kind of building some momentum as a tag team over this past year. So that's been nice to see. I mean, as far as AEW is concerned, I think Penelope Ford obviously is underrated. I mean, those are probably the only few that come off the top of my head. I mean, people could say Cesaro's underappreciated. I would say underused. Hell, I think in some ways Charlotte's kind of underappreciated. I know that'll get some people up in the fancy, but it's true. She's underappreciated for what she does. She's the best pure female wrestler in the world today, and it's not close. What's your favorite style of wrestling today, and why? My favorite style of wrestling today is the New Japan style, strong style. It's just my favorite type of matches to transcribe. More of the big fight feel and not doing a gazillion flips and, I don't know what to do with a sequence, so I'm going to do 15 reversals out of Irish whips because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in the ring. I'm not really a big fan of the AEW Ring of Honor style of wrestling. I enjoy more of the New Japan, like old school style where it looks like a fight and it's not a tumbling routine. So that's my favorite style of wrestling. Okay, a little non-wrestling question here. He says, what do you do when your mind isn't in the right place? One thing and one thing only. Listen to music. Just as much as wrestling is an escape for me, music is an escape for me. Music is a drug that I'm addicted to. I'm addicted to music, and whenever I'm drifting off or not in the right state of mind from a mental point of view, I go and listen to music. I listen to music for 90 straight minutes before I go to sleep every day. That's my routine. So I always go to music when my head's not in the right place. Are there too many stables in wrestling today? No, I would not say there's too many stables in wrestling. I think there's too many fucking factions in AEW. I'll say that. It's hard to even catch up with what they're doing throughout the week. It's just all over the place with some of the stuff that they do. We got the Wingman Factory. I think they're up like to almost 15 different factions. I mean, it's cool that you want everybody to have something to do on TV, but at some point it gets kind of ridiculous. Like last night, the fact that we had John Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin fight the Wingman. I just thought that was freaking ridiculous. But that was a match to pad set, so it is what it is. Yeah, I don't think there's too many stables in wrestling. I just think there's too many factions in AEW. Yeah, it's cool that you have 15 factions in one company, and you can say that's good booking or whatever. I look at it as, hey, I'd rather have 2 or 3 factions that actually mean something instead of 15 factions where we're just mixing in people when we have nothing else to do with somebody else on the show. Hey, you fight this person. Hey, you fight that person. And that's just my opinion. So I want to thank Nate and Chris for the awesome questions this week. I shared my thoughts on CM Punk's return. Hope you guys enjoyed that as well. And before we get to what happened this week in WWE, I'm going to toss it off to Brett Carter, who also had some thoughts on CM Punk returning to wrestling. And when we come back, we'll get to the reviews of SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver 36 right here on the Hoots Podcast. No!
CM Punk made his return to the world of professional wrestling last week on Rampage. And when that happened, and it had been rumored for a long time, and it finally did happen, a wide range and swirl of emotions went through me as I watched it happen and reflected on it and all the good things and all those kinds of good things. And I've gone back and watched it a few times now, and I have a lot to say and a lot of thoughts about it. So I'm going to try to get them all out. I'm recording this separately because this is such an incredible moment in the history of professional wrestling. It deserves its own segment, or however Josh wants to do it, this week on the Hoots Podcast. So, I wasn't sure whether to put this with the Thoughts of Dericho or with What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. So I figured I would let Josh put this wherever he wanted to in the podcast. So, but I wanted to send a separate recording this week since I have to be live via satellite and share my thoughts with everybody on what happened this past week. Now, if you have listened to me at all during the Hoots Podcast, or you've read any of my columns, you know that I am not a CM Punk fan. I've been on the record for years saying that I think that Phil Brooks is a whiny, sniveling, ungrateful baby who cares more about putting himself over and pushing his own agenda than he does about any of the people that made him a star, the companies he's worked for and the fans. He doesn't care about them. He cares about himself and pushing his own agenda and just saying things to stir people up, not because he believes any of the bullshit that comes out of his mouth. I've been on the record saying that, and I stand by those comments. However, I cannot deny what I saw this past week on Rampage. And what I saw this past week on Rampage was one of the coolest, most outstanding, and greatest moments I have ever seen in my life following professional wrestling, and is definitely one of the most historical and important moments in the history of professional wrestling. I cannot deny that one bit, and it was cool to see. I wrote a column about this on WrestlingRumors.net, which you can all check out, giving my thoughts on this, and I called it Historically Awesome Goosebumps and Harsh Reality. And I want to start by getting into the positives of this, because there was a lot of positives. And I actually have changed my mind about Punk on a couple of things after hearing his promo, and I want to try to articulate that. First, I mean, and Josh obviously will talk more about this if he hasn't already, since he was there, but this is, I mean, what can you say about that crowd reaction? That was unbelievable. unbelievable. Punk may be the most over person in all of professional wrestling. You could make the argument Punk's been the most over person in professional wrestling since he left in January of 2014. You can legitimately make that argument. And after seeing that reaction, it would be hard to argue. Like, now, granted, that was his hometown and it was a big reaction. We'll see if it will stay. But, I mean, you can't argue that. Like, that was just absolutely incredible. I said nights like this are why we watch professional wrestling. It was incredible. Two other things I'll say about the positive of this, and then I'll get into where I think we may have some real problems here. First, the emotion on the face was real, and I can't deny that. Like, him being back, doing something he loved, being with people that truly loved him and wanted to see him there, that was incredible. I can only imagine what the energy in the building was like that night, and I bet it was freaking awesome. And that was unbelievable. The other thing that I will say about his promo, so one, the emotion was real. And the promo, I will say I have reversed my course on this a little bit. Punk mentioned in the beginning of his promo, and he said something along the lines of, I apologize to anybody who has questioned some of my decisions in the past. And he said that some of the decisions he made is because the place where he was not going to get healthy physically, emotionally, spiritually if he stayed where he was at. I assume he hinted that. I'm assuming that meant why he walked away from WWE, or maybe it was UFC. I don't know. I assumed it as WWE because he didn't mention WWE once in his promo. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But with him, it's like, mental health has become a true issue and really an issue that's been brought to light over the past couple years. And if his mental health was declining that bad, I can't fault him for walking away. If he's saying, like, this is not where my heart is, like, I don't care if I'm on top of the business, I'm not happy, and I will not be in a good place if I leave. I can't fault him for walking away if that's the case. And it could be that Punk in WWE was just not a good fit. You were trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. So, and if that's the case, then Punk needed to walk away. And I can't fault him for that. I can't do it. I can't fault Punk for that one bit because of that. If that's truly the case, cool. I have flipped my thoughts on that a little bit if that's truly the case. So, those were definitely some of the positives, obviously the huge moment and all that kind of good stuff. But now let's get into the negatives and where I'm still not pleased and where I still have a lot of question marks. Continuing with that promo, let me back up. The thing that's always pissed me off the most about Punk is he never acknowledges the people that made him a star. Let's be honest. If it wasn't for his run in WWE, nobody would give a crap who he was. But he always bashes WWE. He bashes his former employer. He says it doesn't line with his values or whatever. Fine. But recognize the people that made you a star. If it wasn't for WWE, people would not give a damn who Punk was. And that's always the thing that's pissed me off the most about him, is he is ungrateful in that regard. And I will never be on board with him because of his ability to not recognize, because he's trying to be so cool and get himself over, he can't recognize the people that made him famous and made him a star. So that's the one thing that's always pissed me off, and he alluded to that in his promo, and I know we're going to get some more of that over the next few weeks, and it's just going to piss me off. The sound of his voice in that moment just pisses me off so much. The other thing is, he said he's there to work with the young talent. I'm sorry, but AEW doesn't know how to push their own young talent. Their young talent gets pushed to the wayside for ex-WWE folk and folk from New Japan and from Bullet Club, so that these EVPs can pat themselves on the back, they can put themselves over and say, oh, look what we did, blah, 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 because they've convinced a stupid-ass Mark billionaire to fund this, these handouts and this parody of a pro wrestling company. So the fact that Punk said that he's there to work with young talent is one of the most hypocritical things he could have said. Yes, he's working with Darby Allin, who was pictured with Sting for some reason, which is stupid. But yes, he was pictured with Darby Allin, and that's fine. But, and he's going to get his match with Darby Allin, and that's cool. But he's going after Kenny Omega in the world title. And it's not going to take him long to go after Kenny Omega in the world title. And that's just going to prove my point, and I'm going to be right about the fact that AEW pushes their stars to the wayside. So that was such a hypocritical thing to say. I rolled my eyes when he made that statement. I was like, really? He's there to work with the young talent? Ugh, forget about it. So to sum this up, Punk's return, I was really happy to see it, to be honest. It was one of the most historic and important moments in the history of professional wrestling. I'll watch it over and over and over again because that pop comes around once every, 7 to 10 years. So that was really, really, really cool. However, once the new car smell wears off, AEW will go back to how they've always been, and they'll simply cast Punk aside and make him another one of the folk, give him his huge payday, and continue to just work for the moments, bringing in new stars and not actually care about the talent that they're trying to build. Great moment for Punk. Historically awesome goosebumps. But a harsh reality is coming for Punk and for AEW.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hoots Podcast. Ready to get into what happened this week in WWE. I'm going to try to make this segment short and sweet to the possible as I can because we got a lot to get to. Of course, we got our main event segment of the show as we do each and every single week. What the hell is wrong with AEW? And, of course, capping it off with another brand new edition of the Thoughts of Dericho, where you get Brett Carter's thoughts on SummerSlam and Takeover and all the fun stuffs in the worlds of professional wrestling. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we started off with SummerSlam because really not much to talk about for Raw SmackDown this week. There were preview shows and then follow-up for what happened on for SummerSlam, but anyways, I'll start off with the kickoff show with Big E and Baron Corbin. An enjoyable match for the kickoff show. By the way, I want to send my thoughts to Pat McAfee, who revealed yesterday that he's tested positive for COVID-19. So I just wanted to send my thoughts out to the man, the myth, the legend, known as Pat McAfee. Cool it down there in Indianapolis. Cool it down, get back on track, and I'm going to give you a shout out for what you do on concert because you're going to be missed over the next couple weeks. So shout out to Pat, and I hope he gets better. Okay, now as far as SummerSlam is concerned, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the visual stuff that I took away from the show. By the way, Allegiant Stadium is a beautiful stadium. I will say that. I think the Raiders got a gem of a stadium. I heard there was some issues going on with the concourse area and the credit card machines were not working, so things were not pretty serviceable for the customers that were at SummerSlam, which is kind of unfortunate. That happens sometimes at select venues, but hopefully that changes the next time that WWE has a show in Las Vegas at that stadium, which is actually going to be next year's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. How about that? So, I was watching the show, right, and, they went kind of like the baseball kind of format. I always say the baseball one because the rap walkway they had for SummerSlam this year is kind of similar to what it was for WrestleMania 19 without a big stage in the background. It's kind of like that big walkway down to the ring instead of a big stage with a long ramp. You know what I'm talking about? So I kind of like the visuals of it. The stadium looked awesome. I wish I was there. But, I thought some of the visual stuff was cool. As far as the matches and stuff that stood out to me that I liked, obviously seeing Randy Orton and Riddle become the new Raw Tag Team Champions, I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a good match to start off the show. One of my favorite matches for the show was Damian Priest and Sheamus for the United States Championship. Shout out to the Barican Us, Damian Priest, for becoming your brand new United States Champion. I thought that was a really nice, special moment for him and well-deserved. I say on the podcast each week, man, that Sheamus does not get his props. Put some respect on that man's name, damn it. Please. It was other stuff of the show. The Usos retained over the Mysterios in a solid match. The big controversy, let's get into that since that's the thing everybody wants to talk about, right? Okay. Bianca BelAir was originally supposed to fight God's gift of professional wrestling, Sasha Banks, at SummerSlam for the SmackDown Women's Champion. I don't know what's going on. Here we go. Here's another controversy surrounding Sasha Banks surrounding the big show. So, I'm not gonna come out and speculate, but I saw somebody say, "Oh, did Sasha throw a tantrum because her and Bianca did not main event SummerSlam?" I really hope that's not the case, and I'm not gonna expend any energy on that. But God, if that was the case, that'd be really something else. Because I don't know, man. I don't like getting personal with performers. I like what she does in the ring. I think she's overrated, but. Yeah, people come up with some wacky-ass conspiracy theories these days. So she didn't show up. I don't know what's going on with her. Hopefully she's in a good place. Hopefully she's in good spirits, so I'll say that. She didn't have the match, so they decided to bring Carmella in as a replacement. Out comes Becky Lynch, attacks Carmella, and then challenges Bianca for the SmackDown Women's title. On the spot, Bianca accepts. Bianca wants... Becky puts her hand out to, she wants Bianca to shake her hand, and then punches her, and then does the rock bottom to become the SmackDown Women's Champion. It was a quick turnaround. The match was very short, and this threw wrestling world, wrestling Twitter, wrestling media up in the uproar. I can't believe this booking decision. This is the worst booking decision of all time. You mean to tell me this is what you're going to do when CM Punk made his return to wrestling the night before? It's like, would it be nice one day to cover and watch one wrestling show without thinking about what somebody else is doing? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, right? I'm watching this, right? And would Joshie, would like to see Bianca BelAir lose the SmackDown Women's Championship on this past Saturday? No, I wouldn't. But I'm going to pose this question to you, and I posed this question when we did the S&E review on YouTube the other day. Tell me, and if you can tell me that you're not going to do this, you're full of shit. Tell me, do you really, really wanted that full-length match with Bianca and Becky right there on the spot? Honestly, ask me that question. Answer me that question. Did you honestly want a full-length match with Becky and Bianca at that point? Because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Bianca was going to get booed during the process and still lose the title at the end of the day. So... What's worse? Her losing the title in 8 seconds, or her getting booed out of the building because a new favorite's back in town and people are going to start cheering for Becky, right? And Becky becomes the champion. Don't you think that's an even worse look on Bianca? I'm just throwing it out there. For me, I have a conflict resolution thing. You can tell me, oh, this sucks. They talk about booking this, booking this, booking this, booking that, booking this, booking that, booking this. It's like I hear booking more times than I hear more about wrestling. And it's a problem. I'm sorry, folks. I'm not gonna apologize. I'm just gonna be upfront with you guys. I give two shits about booking. I'm not a booker. Neither are you. Neither is anybody on Twitter. So shut the fuck up. It's one thing to come out and say, oh, I don't like the decision of this match. I wasn't entertained by this match. Cool. More proud to you. All this stuff's subjective. But I am so tired of these fucking mental gymnastic relays that we have on Twitter about what's right booking, what's wrong booking. I saw somebody the other day talk about, oh, AEW's not perfect, but at least they have competent booking. What the fuck does even competent booking mean? Show me what that means. We got all these fancy-ass buzzwords from people who've never worked in the wrestling industry. I've never worked in the wrestling industry. You guys hear me rip AEW each week. Do you hear me talk about the booking? No. I don't care about booking. I really don't. I never have, and I never will. So, you mean to tell me that it's Bianca BelAir's buried because Becky outsmarted her and went a heelish route to capture the title? And by the way, let me throw this out there too for people who love to lose context when it comes to these situations. Tell me, was Becky really too goody two-shoes babyface before she dropped the title and became a mother? Was the man really a babyface character? And by the way, if she's going to go off with the Stone Cold Steve Austin stuff, please do something else than the Rock Bottom. I'll say that. That would probably be the only thing I would switch besides not having Becky show up and go after the SmackDown Women's title, but that's another topic for another time. But again, to address the point here, for you to say that Bianca is buried because she lost to Becky Lynch in 8 seconds is so fucking stupid to me. There's a bigger picture to this stuff, folks, whether you guys want to believe it or not. They wanted the reaction that they got. For better or worse, this is a business about getting reactions, not about what's appeasing fucking Ricky from Arkansas who's going to jizz to a fucking Sasha Banks picture later on that day. They're not worried about you. They're not worried about you. They're thinking about the global audience. It's not about a fucking Christopher from, not Saletta, I'm assuming for you this while you're listening to this. It's not about Chris from fucking Tallahassee, Florida, who's stuck in the 90s and thinks that's the only way to present professional wrestling. They're not thinking about that. It's much more to what goes on to these shows than what you think or whatever the fucking Pro Wrestling 101 playbook is. WWE is not professional wrestling, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be pro wrestling. It doesn't have to. It's their company. It's their rules. You don't have to like it. And that's more than okay, too. But stop coming on social media and these content creators coming there acting like they're shit those things, trying to act like they're the smartest person in the room. No, you're not a booker. You've never been a booker because you've been fucking complaining about the same thing that they had a full-length match and she still lost the title. Don't lie to me. Who are you fooling? Bianca BelAir is buried. Oh, Becky's new Charlotte. Becky's becoming everything that she hated. All these fucking stupid ass conspiracy theories I've seen this week is so ridiculous. Really gonna tell me that you were gonna throw a fit if Bianca still lost the title in a full length match? When's the last time that somebody was unadvertised on a pay-per-view showed up and had a full length match there? And don't tell me The Rock, because The Rock was already rumored to be there for WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, so I don't want to hear that. Becky's not on the level of The Rock, okay? Bianca BelAir is not buried. Like, just stop. Drew McIntyre beat Jinder Mahal. That was what it was. I was expecting a little bit more out of that. Maybe their feud will continue. We'll have to see out of that. I really enjoyed the Raw Women's Triple Threat match. I really did. I thought that was one of my favorite matches of the show. And I know they have the old saying that John Cena is Big Match John, but I'm going to call Charlotte Big Match Charlotte because to me, there's not a better female performer that performs on the big stage better than Charlotte Flair when it comes to in the ring. It's not close. She showed it at Money in the Bank. She's done it multiple times on pay-per-views. She did it again at SummerSlam. Charlotte is your new Raw Women's Champion, and rightfully so. So Charlotte Flair beats Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley. Really quick, the Edge and Seth Rollins stuff was my favorite part of the show. Loved it. It was phenomenal. Really, really digged it. The Brood entrance was awesome. And then Edge did his signature entrance after that. I thought that was really cool. The gear for both guys was really good. The match layout was fantastic. It's probably one of the best SummerSlam matches of all time. And I can't wait to watch that back one day. It was really, really good. Edge and Seth Rollins. If you have not seen that match, go out of your way to check it out. Bobby Lashley and Goldberg has the phrase LOL F them kids ring ever true. Yeah, that match was something else. I thought it overstayed its welcome. You could have done everything they did with the whole referee stoppage, and you could have done that in 4 minutes. I think the only issue I have with it was that it went too long. And then Finally, we have John Cena and Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Big fight feel. Love the story that they told in the ring. The Tribal Chief is the #1 box office draw in professional wrestling. And it's not close. Roman Reigns is that dude. Roman Reigns is the Tribal Chief. He is the head of the table. And Jacob Toretto did acknowledge his Tribal Chief. It was an awesome match. I love the match layout. I thought Cole and McAfee did a great job on commentary calling this match, especially checking out doing the transcript. I thought it was phenomenal. Both of those guys deserve a lot of credit. And then John and Roman put on a hell of a show in the ring. Roman Reigns retains. He's still Universal Champion. And out comes ponytail-loving Viking self Brock Lesnar walks down the ring. I was not expecting Brock Lesnar to come out, so that was a surprise to me. I was not expecting that, so I thought that was really, really cool to see Brock on the show. Brock Lesnar came out. Paul Heyman started crying, and he thought he saw a ghost. I thought that was really cool, too. So overall, man, I really, really enjoyed SummerSlam. It was a pretty solid show. If I had to give it out of a 10, I'd give it an 8, maybe 8.5. But I really enjoyed SummerSlam. It was a really, really good pay-per-view from WWE this past Saturday night. And then we had TakeOver. NXT TakeOver 36 from the Capitol Wrestling Center in Orlando, Florida. Really cool spot with Ted DiBiase and Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes is your new $1 million champion. And then Ted DiBiase stole the $1 million title at NXT this week. I thought that was great. That goddamn Ted DiBiase! I thought that was really cool. Raquel Gonzalez retained over Dakota Kai in a solid match. I thought this was really a chance for Dakota to win, but that did not happen. But we did see the debut of Kaylee Ray. That was really cool. I've been a big fan of her work, obviously, since I cover NXT UK each week. She's one of the best heels that WWE has. She's one of the best female wrestlers that WWE has. And she's a phenomenal talent, and I think she's going to do some great stuff on NXT. Then we had, again, the match of the year for the second year in a row. Walter against Ilya Dragunov. This may be one of the best wrestling trilogy rivalries, how long this series is going to be, but I've never seen a match like this resonate to the level it was. Like, the first one that I saw it was at the studio, it was at the arena at the BT Sports Studios. I thought that was art. And then they had this match in front of the crowd, and it was even better. The third one has to be in front of a UK crowd. It's the only way to do it, and it'll be even more special. I mean, what else is there that needs to be said when it comes to this match? I mean, it's everything that I love about professional wrestling in that match. Like, Nate, to your question earlier about, like, what's your favorite style of wrestling? It's Walter and Dragunov. That's my favorite style of professional wrestling. I love the match. It was phenomenal. Shout out to Ilya becoming the new NXT United Kingdom champion. Walter's reign is over at 810 days. It was a really special match. If you haven't seen that, go out of your way to check it out. It's just awesome. And then the final two matches of the show, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Wasn't really surprised that Kyle won. We'll have to see what's next for Adam Cole. Does he show up in AEW? Does he stay in WWE? We'll have to figure that out. And then Samoa Joe becoming the NXT champion over Karrion Kross. That was expected as well, but I thought Kross looked good in that match as well. So overall, TakeOver was a solid show as well. I enjoyed that, and it was a really good, positive week for WWE. And then as far as NXT UK is concerned, we always do an NXT UK preview on this show. Today we got two interesting matches. We got Aoife Valkyrie against Ginny, number 2, their second match. The difference we're having, Joseph Connor stuck in the shark cage, so there'll be no interference. And then we have Rampage Brown against Joe Coffey Part 3. Only way to win is by submission or knocking your opponent out, so that should be a barn burner. Looking forward to typing that out. Make sure to check out that article at ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. All right, let's get to a quick preview for what's going on this weekend for the NWA in St. Louis before we get to our main event segment. And this is the card that I got lined up right here for NWA Empowerrr and NWA 73. So here we go. We have an intra-promotional triple threat match with Kylie Ray, Diamante, and Chick Tormenta. We have the NWA Women's Invitational Cup Gauntlet, and the winner will fight either Capville or Leyla Hirsch for the NWA World's Women's Championship at NWA 73. We have Bianca BelAir, the daughter of Santino Marella, Chelsea Green, Debbie Malenko, Lady Frost, Jamison Nagel, Genocide, Kira Hogan, Masha Slamovich, Tootie Lynn, and Thunder Kitty. So those are the participants. We have Allison Kay and Marty Bell against Renee Michelle at Sahara 7. This is a semifinal match in the vacant NWA Women's World Tag Team Title Tournament. Red Velvet and Kylan King versus the Freebaids, also the other semifinal matchup. They'll also have the finals of that match as well. On the show, Deonna Purrazzo against Melina for the Impact Knockouts Championship. And then the main event, Camille against Leyla Hirsch for the NWA World's Women's Championship. NWA's first all-women's pay-per-view coming up live this Saturday in St. Louis at the Chase Ballroom. All produced by the greatest waterfall that's ever lived, Mickie James. It's going to be an awesome event. I'm really looking forward to covering that. And then we got NWA 73. We have a battle royal to determine the number one contender for the NWA National Championship. The Pope and the N will be taking on Tyrus, the Masked Man, and Jordan Clearwater in the six-man tag team match. We got Thomas Latimer, Crimson against Tim Storm. It's a triple threat match, but they're calling it the Battle in the Lou. This should be an interesting match. I'm looking forward to that one. Aaron Stevens and J.R. Kratos putting their NWA World Tag Team titles on the line against La Rebellion. We got Chris Adonis putting his NWA National Championship on the line against James Storm. I mentioned the women's title match that will be in the show. Speaking of the GOAT, Mickie James will be fighting Kylie Ray on the 73rd anniversary show, so that should be cool. And then the main event of that show is the National Treasure, the real world champion Nick Aldis against Trevor Murdoch. It's a title versus career match. If Trevor Murdoch loses, he will retire from professional wrestling. He'll be stepping away. It should be a special event. Two awesome pay-per-views for the NWA. Go out of your way to support it. They put out some really good content. They got a good commentary team. And it should be a fun event to cover both of them on Saturday and Sunday. So check out those articles as well at ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got the plugs out of the way. We got the previews out of the way. Let's get the people what they want, pal. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, once again for another stellar edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. We're going to start this bad boy off as we always do with the one and only, the nefarious director of operations himself, Brother Carter, in a 3, a 2, and 1. And before I press the go button, remember, this segment is brought to you by the Wrestling Observer newsletter and Fightful Select Premium behind a paywall. All right, let's get to it. This is What the Hell is Wrong with AEW, starting in the 3, 2, 1.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
What the hell is wrong with AEW? Now, you already heard what I had to say about CM Punk earlier in the show, so I'm not going to bring any of that up again. That's a whole separate topic, but glad to see him back in AEW. My only thing I have to say to AEW about this is, AEW, please don't mess this up, but I'm not holding my breath because it is this company. But now, what the hell is wrong with AEW? All right, let's get into Dynamite this week. It wasn't great. We started things off with Orange Cassidy versus Matt Hardy. After starting things off with a thrilling showdown between these complete goofs, the match begins. You know, we got the kicks and the delete. Why is Matt Hardy still doing the delete thing as a heel? Like, that's a face thing. You know, for him to go, delete, delete, delete. Like, the crowd loves that, but he's trying to be a money-making scumbag. His gimmick makes absolutely no sense. Why would he bring money to the ring? Like, what is that? It makes absolutely no sense. You know, instead of focusing on the victory, he's trying to pick up the money he had when he pulled it out of his pocket. What did he think was going to happen? This was stupid. Both of these, I'm completely over both of these characters. I think Orange Cassidy has potential. Once he can get past this stupid gimmick where he puts his hands in his pockets. And then, you know, there's an anticlimactic finish and Orange Cassidy gets the win. Great. Of course, there was some blood, but I do think that this one he actually just got popped in the nose and didn't try the blade. So I hope he's okay on that one. But this was dumb, and this was a stupid way to start the show. The Elite continue to annoy me every single week. God, they're annoying. Oh my God. They come out, they act just so ridiculously annoying. You got Brandon Cutler and Michael Naka go fuck home, you know, trying to do all this stuff with Kenny Omega, and then you got the Bucks. They just continue to annoy me every week. And for a company that claims to be all elite, the Elite is the worst part of this roster, and it's not close. I will say, I enjoyed the tag match between the Lucha Bros and the Varsity Blondes. I thought this was good pacing, good timing, good amount of spots. It wasn't an over the top amount of spots. Thought that was great. We're getting one more match with Chris Jericho and MJF at All Out. I actually didn't mind this. We have the stipulation that Jericho leaves AEW or stops wrestling if he loses. I called that this stipulation was going to happen after their last match, so it's fine. At least they got that part of the storyline point. Good MJF promo as usual. He's starting to get some points back with me, so that was fine. Red Velvet versus Jamie Hayter. It itself was meh, but what the hell was that finish? Red Velvet just missed a backflip completely and then just went limp. Like I think she tried to get a backflip, missed the spot, and then decided to go limp so Jamie Hayter could put her down. This was weird. I thought this whole match was just kind of odd. And I'm still very confused about that finish. Apparently, the Dark Order is now randomly fighting and possibly breaking up. That was just a weird backstage segment, and I didn't care about it at all. Okay, then we get to the CM Punk promo. Now, again, I'm not going to rehash anything from Rampage. All I'll say is that Punk, of course, had a great promo. It was very, very well done. And he's rubbing Darby Allin, which is great. Which means get Sting away from Darby Allin. What has Sting done for Darby Allin in the last 2 months? Absolutely nothing. Darby Allin is going to be a big enough star without Sting. Get him away. Also, why does Tony Schiavone feel like he needs to introduce CM Punk? CM Punk is a big enough star without it. They're trying to recreate WCW with Tony Schiavone as Mean Gene Okerlund. And we know how things worked for WCW. Ridiculous. Also, I will say, when the crowd started going, yes, 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 and CM Punk started teasing Daniel Bryan by saying, just be patient, you'll see him soon. That was kind of cool. I like that. What the hell was the point of the trios match between Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, and Kingston versus the three jobbers? Everybody was fighting on the outside at the end of the match. Everyone was fighting on the outside, taking the focus away from Darby Allin winning the match, because nobody in the crowd was watching that, because they were watching Sting fight off whoever the hell he was fighting off. And then Danny Garcia attacks him for some reason. It makes absolutely no sense at all. And again, great booking from Booker of the Year, pal. Let's have the crowd focus away from the guy who's actually supposed to win the match in order to promote his match with CM Punk. Genius. Ugh. And because AEW can't help themselves, we get a random backstage brawl between Ty Conti and Bunny for some stupid reason. Don Callis and Kenny Omega get worse every single week, especially Don Callis, or Don Fallis, as I like to call him. He is the most annoying person in the world. I do not want to see Don Fallis. I don't want to see... This is a problem. You can be annoying if you're entertaining, because that means that people want to see you get beat up. I don't want to see Don Callis on my television screen. He doesn't work. because I don't want to see him. If you're an annoying heel, but you do it well, it's great because it means you're going to get the crap kicked out of you. I don't care about Don Callis. I don't want to see Don Callis. Don Callis is awful. Get him away. Christian tried to save the segment, but even he failed miserably because there's just no saving yourself when you're around Kenny Omega and Don Callis. All right, I had no idea who the person was that Jon Moxley was referring to in his promo. I'm sure y'all did, but I don't know who this New Japan Pro Wrestling legend is. If you don't know the promotion, why would you care about this? They're opening the forbidden door, but if you don't know who these people are, is it really forbidden? So Paul White is facing QT Marshall All Out, but Marshall doesn't even give a TV entrance. Man, that's some more genius booking right there. The factory just seems like jobbers at this point, but yet I'm supposed to care about QT Marshall's encounter with Paul White at All Out. Ridiculous. And finally, I will say I am now all in on Dan Lambert. Man, does this guy know the AEW audience and the product so well. And it finally gives Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky something to do that's somewhat meaningful. But man, Dan Lambert, I'm all in on him now. That promo was great. Fantastic. Telling the AEW audience what he was spewing some truth about AEW. I can't lie. That was great. Finally, Malachi Black is a superstar. There's no doubt about it. He's absolutely fantastic. But why does Brock Anderson get a main event spot? There's been no build to this feud with Malachi Black and the Nightmare Family, and now he's wiped all of them out. And you're supposed to tell me that Malachi Black is going to be afraid of Lee Johnson? Really? Good Lord. This booking makes... I try not to talk about big... It's not booking. It's storytelling. Pace of show. None of that makes sense, as does nothing with this company. Seriously, what the hell is wrong with AEW?
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Thank you, Brother Carter, so much for the submission this week. I appreciate you, my man. All right, let's get into it. What the hell is wrong with AEW? What isn't wrong with AEW? I'm going to start this off really quick with a trip down Capville. I want to give a shout out to Chris and our good friend Mike at Main Event Swerve for contributing for the segment this week. We'll get to Dynamite in just a couple seconds, but I couldn't resist without bringing in our new segment, A Trip Down Capville. Let's ring up the alarms, ladies and gentlemen. Let's ring an alarm, because there's a lot of cap out there. So, here we go. I saw this tweet. I'm not going to mention who it was, but he says, CM Punk debuting at AEW is a huge deal. But Daniel Bryan literally main evented WrestleMania for the WWE Universal title 4 months ago. A massive acquisition. Well, I love to share this young man's optimism, because that's just completely blasphemous. I mean, that's up there with some grade A, homogenized, Holstein, Walmart bullshit. My God. Daniel Bryan's a bigger acquisition than CM Punk? What are you smoking? I don't know about that. All right, here we go. Another one. It should have been Miro against Paul White at All Out for the TNT title. Miro makes White tap out to make him look like an absolute monster. You know, this person here that says the tweet here says that this would make Miro look like a monster. Yeah, weren't you the same fan that was whining when Rusev was doing the same thing to Big Show and you said that was a boring feud? Throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. And then I think there's another one that Chris sent me. Just one second. I'm trying to find it here. Oh, here we go. I saw this last night and I thought this was fucking hilarious. This is what I found myself. Oh boy, here we go. Kenny Omega wrote the book on how to be a main event world champion in the 2020s. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say goodbye and thank you for listening to the podcast this week. My fucking God. What? Olivier wrote the book on how to be a main event star in 2020? Oh, God. This killed me now. All right, let's get into the Mud Show. We had Pockets against the running Limp Man to start out the broadcast. It was what I thought it was going to be without the gratuitous interference and run-ins. Pockets won. Matt Hardy got busted open pretty bad. Hopefully it's not too serious of an issue there. But, yeah, I thought this match was okay. I didn't think it was anything special, but I'm sorry, guys. I can't. There's a lot of things with AEW that I can't take seriously. And, you know, this segment's not going to change, or I'm going to put a blind eye to things just because CM Punk is back. Like, what he does with AEW is different from what goes on in the rest of this Mud Show. Yeah, this match was what it was. Orange Cassidy won. I thought this match was going to happen in a pay-per-view, but at this point, I'll be okay if Orange Cassidy is not on a pay-per-view. So there goes that. Then we got into the Lucha Brothers against the Varsity Blondes. And I thought this match was decent as well. I thought it was pretty good. I don't like calling wrestlers green. I think that's disrespectful. I don't like calling wrestlers green, but it still looks like Griff Garrison is close to getting there. He's not all the way there yet, but I do like Varsity Blondes as a tag team, so I thought this match was fine. But again, we got the Goof Bucks on the stage with Cutlet and knock the fuck off and go the fuck home and stay the fuck home. Nakazawa on the stage acting like complete idiots. There's nothing elite about the Elite. Like Brother Carr said, they're just a bunch of goofballs ripping off other wrestlers' moves, thinking their shit don't stink. It's not even like stuff that I boo them because they're the bad guys. Oh, boo! Why you do that? No, come on, that man got a family. You know, that type of reaction when you have a heel. I see these dweebs on my TV. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? You know, it's like I can't take anything the Young Bucks do seriously. And you mean to tell me, does anybody in this world believe that there's not going to be interference in this cage match at All Out? Like, please, I would like to have what you're smoking, and I don't even smoke. Okay. All right, here we go. Dan Lambert. Let's give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Lambert, again, just a phenomenal promo, telling the people what they need to know. I'm sure wrestling Twitter were butthurt about this promo because kind of hit home with them. You know what I mean? Truth hurts sometimes. I got a question for everybody listening to this segment right now. Would you buy the All Out pay-per-view with the card that's slated right now if CM Punk was not on it? I'd love to see your responses on Twitter at Josh Lopez Media. Would you buy this pay-per-view if CM Punk was not on it? Let's get into the Olivier Christian Cage segment. My God. There's times I like Don Callis, and then there's the Don Callis that we saw last night on Dynamite, and it's like, can I grab my remote quicker? Can you please shut the hell up? You're nowhere near Gagne. You're not Bill Watts. You're not Vince McMahon. You're not even Sam Mushnick. You're not even Paul Bosch. Let's see what other performers I can mention here. I mean, hell, you're not even... I can't believe I'm going to say this. You're not even fucking Jim Barnett. I'm sure some people are laughing right now as they're listening to this. Like, you're not Paul Heyman. Hell, you're not even Jeff Jarrett. How about that, pal? You're not Jeff Jarrett. I'm sorry, guys, but you mean to tell me that Christian Cage and Omega outside the wrestling is a worthwhile main event? I see this stuff and it's like, okay, like Christian Cage can curse now, and Christian Cage has some witty lines. Like, I always been a Christian fan, so yeah, it's nice to see him, but I'm not emotionally invested into this segment. I'm not invested into this feud. So this was all over the place. And then we had sloppy, here we go. It's another week on Dynamite with sloppy tag team matches. I'm sitting here with bated breath for these trios titles to show up in AEW. We had Charlie Sheen, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin taking on the Wingman. Who gave a fuck? Then we had the Factory against the Gun Club. So Billy Gunn and his sons beat up Paul Blart and his trainees. Whoopity-doo. I am not going to come in here and disparage Red Velvet. It's unfortunate that her standing moonsault missed by big time, but that happens sometimes on TV. I definitely would love to stir up her waterfall. I will say that, though. And then the show closed up with Malachi Black taking on Brock Anderson. This was a squash match and a spotlight match for Malachi Black. It looks like more and more they're trying to present him as a hitman, and I like the presentation. I like the entrance. I like the stuff with Malachi Black so far, but it just looks like Cody's going to come back to get his revenge on Malachi Black. I just think that's what's going to happen. And then the thing for me that was just so ridiculous from Dynamite this week was the MGF and Chris Jericho segment. So, LOL, shocker, we got one more match with Chris Jericho and MGF, ladies and gentlemen. I'm surprised Eric Bischoff didn't come out and make the announcement for the match. So we got Mickey Trump taking on MGF one more time at All Out. And if Jericho loses, he will no longer wrestle on Dynamite or AEW in general. Whoopity-doo. Like, are any of you excited to hear more Chris Jericho on commentary? I'm not. not yet by a long shot. I think, doesn't this all seem convoluted and ridiculous? Like, why would you have a TV match with a decisive finish last week as your main event of the show, only just to have Jericho send out a couple insults and lure MJF to put him on commentary to take away his wrestling career? As we're supposed to believe that any retirement angles with people that are having full-length contracts are actually going to work out that way. Like, come on. Really? Does anybody believe that Chris Jericho is not going to come back to ring if he lost to MJF at All Out? Also, you just gave it away to the people that Chris Jericho is going to beat MJF at All Out too. So tell me, how does any of this benefit MJF? I thought the premise of this segment sucked. MJF's promos were fine, as they always are. But I don't know. It would have been better to say, oh, I'm going to leave AEW in general, instead of be like, oh, I'm not going to wrestle. I'm just going to be on commentary. Double down, bro. I thought this segment sucked. So, on that note, that is what the hell is wrong with AEW this week. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Do want to mention, as always, you could follow me at Twitter at Josh Lopez Media. Make sure to hit me up on Instagram at Joshie Lopez94. Josh Lopez Music as well on Instagram. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscripts.com. And I make appearances on the SNE Network. Make sure to subscribe to their channel, youtube.com/SNE Network. Also, make sure to follow Brother Carter at Twitter at Derek Stoughton and support his work at WrestlingRumors.net at DerekStoughton.com. And also, that's pretty much it. If you guys could do us a favor, please leave us a 4 or 5 star review on Apple Podcasts. Let us know what you like or don't like about the podcast. And especially on YouTube, subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends. We'd love to get some more subscriptions on YouTube, so that'd be really cool. And make sure to hit that little bell button so you never miss an episode from the Hoots podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for hanging out with me this week. Make sure you enjoy the NWA pay-per-views that are coming out of St. Louis this week with Empowerrr and the 73rd anniversary show. We'll be back here to recap that show next week and getting all into September, because next week is to preview All Out. So another big weekend for AEW coming up next week, and a lot of great stuff going on in the world of professional wrestling. And we'll be all here to document it right here on the Hoots podcast. Remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself, and remember, dictate the pace of your life, nobody else. I love you guys. Hope you have a wonderful week. I'm going to send it off to Burger Carter for this week's edition of the Thoughts of Dericho. I'll talk to you guys next week. Yes, sir.
And now, the Thoughts of Dericho. Listen well, man.
Welcome, one and all, to the segment that's as fired up about wrestling after this weekend as you are. It is the Thoughts of Dericho, featuring the one, the only, Brother Carter. Man, what a weekend of professional wrestling we saw last week. CM Punk debuts on Friday night. We get a great SummerSlam. We get a great NXT Takeover. And then we got a good show Monday night with Raw. So a lot of really good things going on this weekend. It was a very exciting weekend. So let's get into it. I'm going to start... I'll start with talking a little bit about SummerSlam here. I gave my thoughts on the CM Punk thing on Friday night, so you can check those out. I'm not sure. I know you've already heard those thoughts, so I hope you enjoyed those, but that's what I thought about Punk on Friday night. So let's get into SummerSlam. Let's talk about what I thought at SummerSlam. Good match to start the show with Rated RK Bro winning the tag team titles. This was the right move. I wish the match would have gone a little longer, but this was definitely the right move. Riddle is a superstar and will eventually be the world champion, so hopefully Randy Orton can get him there. They have great chemistry together and the crowd loves them. So I thought that was terrific, and I really enjoyed this match to start the show. Then we get into Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie. Now, the point here obviously was to further the split between Doudrop and Eva, which we'll get into that a little bit more basically on what happens on Raw. Hopefully, Doudrop will, and it looks like she is going to get to do her own thing. This is good. And, the match wasn't great, but again, the purpose of it was to further the storyline and not to necessarily have a, great technical clinic there. I'll say this, the Alexa Bliss character, without Bray Wyatt is starting to wear off on me. And I don't think it's as effective without Bray Wyatt there being the Fiend, kind of controlling her as kind of manipulating her with his mind games. So I think she might need to go back to being the old Alexa Bliss as long as Bray Wyatt's gone. I'm not convinced that Bray Wyatt's going to be gone forever. They're saying he's going to go to AEW, and if he does, well, then Alexa Bliss really does need to go back to her old, just being a snobby, her old character, which was awesome, because Alexa Bliss is fantastic. So we'll see what happens with that, and we'll see what happens with this feud going forward. I'm so happy for Damian Priest. He deserves the United States Championship. This is a great match, and Priest is going to be a world champion before long. And if you've been following me at all, you know that I called this right after WrestleMania. Damian Priest was going to win the U.S. title at SummerSlam, and I called it. And I love when I'm right, but he's going to be a world champion before long, and we'll get into that a little bit when we start talking about Raw. Nice tag team title match with Mysterios and the Usos. You can tell that a split between the Mysterios is coming. I bet we get one more match, and then Dominic will make the turn, and then they'll have their match sometime in the fall. It was short, but I think that the Rick Boogs, Nakamura, and McAfee thing is absolutely hilarious. I bet at some point we're going to get a Rick Boogs versus Elias feud, kind of the new guitar player versus the old guitar player. I don't know how you do that. If Elias somehow makes his way to SmackDown, you can get a feud there. Or maybe Elias feuds with King Nakamura for the Intercontinental Championship. If they can somehow work a deal and he can go over to SmackDown. Maybe that'll happen in the WWE draft. Who knows? But I think that that's coming. But the Boogs, Nakamura, McAfee thing is absolutely outstanding. Pat McAfee is an absolute genius and has already established himself as one of the best commentators of all time. He is absolutely terrific. SmackDown, okay. here's the big thing that we need to talk about, and that's the SmackDown Women's Championship match. A lot of people are pissed about Bianca BelAir losing the title the way that she did. Now, obviously the Becky Lynch return was amazing. That pop was unbelievable. I love when I get to see the man, but I absolutely love that. But everybody was pissed saying that Bianca BelAir got buried. But they're not seeing the bigger picture. They're not seeing the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that Bianca BelAir is obviously going to get another shot at Becky Lynch at Extreme Rules maybe, or Crown Jewel or something like that. I don't know. She will get another shot, and they can actually have a kick-ass match. Josh brought this up, and he texted this to me, and I couldn't agree more. So let's say that Becky and Bianca had a full-length match, and it went 12 minutes, or 13 minutes, or whatever. Bianca BelAir would start to get booed because everybody was so happy to see Becky Lynch back that, you know, because Bianca BelAir is anybody but the man, she would have gotten booed out of the building. The same thing would have happened to the same thing did happen to Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey had this incredible momentum going, but then she ran into the man. And the man is maybe the most over female superstar in the world right now. Has been for a long time. I mean, the organic crowd response for Becky Lynch is amazing. So, again, the WWE did the right thing here. Get a shock value, get the title on Lynch, and then they can build a feud with Bianca and Becky. Because Bianca would have lost all of her momentum if she would have had a long match with Becky Lynch. And I know the WWE fans, and I know that's what would have happened. So, be patient, people. Be patient. Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre, it was exactly what it needed to be, and McIntyre got his revenge on Jinder Mahal. Now, the big question for me is what's next with Drew McIntyre. Now, he can't challenge for the WWE Championship, but he can challenge for the United States Championship. Turn him heel, do a program with Damian Priest. That could be awesome. And then perhaps Sheamus can do a thing with Lashley or something like that for the world title, because it can't be Drew McIntyre. So, McIntyre pairs off with Priest, Sheamus pairs off with Bobby Lashley. That could actually be pretty cool. I'm always thrilled to have the Queen be once again on top of the mountain. She is just so good. She's just fantastic. This was a great match, but I'm curious where they go from here. We obviously got that answered on Monday because it looks like she's going to be doing a program with Alexa Bliss. I was hoping that would be Shayna Baszler, because Baszler has been baiting her time. And she finally, hopefully, will get a shot at the Raw Women's Championship, depending on what happens with Alexa Bliss. So, we'll have to see, but I will never be upset when the Queen and the GOAT of women's wrestling is on top of the mountain. Woo! I love it. What I didn't love was the segment with Woods, Miz, and Morrison. It was stupid, it served no purpose, and it was awkward. I didn't like it one bit. It was just filler to try to get them on TV. It was terrible. I hated it. It was awful. Okay, Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg. Now, I'm glad that Bobby Lashley won, but I don't know if this is how it should have gone down. I felt that Lashley needed to dominate Goldberg to establish himself as an even more dominant heel. This finish was a bit... I think we're going to get another match with Goldberg and Lashley, probably at Crown Jewel. But, you know, so you can do a program with Lashley and Sheamus for Extreme Rules, and then Bobby Lashley and Goldberg can go at it one more time at Crown Jewel. But I would have much rather seen Lashley dominate. I don't know if the injury to Goldberg was legit. We'll see. But we'll have to see what happens with that going forward. This isn't how I would have done it, but we'll see what happens. And then we get to the main event. John Cena versus Roman Reigns was absolutely incredible. This was a clinic in ring psychology from the beginning. Both Reigns and Cena were playing mind games. Neither of them were buying into it, and then Reigns finally got the win after a fantastic match. And we knew it was going to be a great match from two of the absolute best in the world. It was terrific. But then, the Beast is back, baby, and finally the encounter I have been wanting for over a year has finally happened. Lesnar is back and is going to get his shot at Reigns, with Paul Heyman being the connection between the two. I love this. It's about time that we're getting Lesnar versus Reigns, excuse me. And the crazy thing is, Lesnar is the babyface. That, to me, is the most intriguing thing about all of this, is that Brock Lesnar is the babyface going into this feud. That was a great moment. This was a great pay-per-view. I enjoyed it very, very, very much. I didn't get a chance to watch NXT, but I'll just say a couple things about it. Really cool to see Kaylee Ray. I love Kaylee Ray. I think she's fantastic, and it's going to be great to see her work with Raquel Gonzalez. This just continues to elevate NXT as the best women's division in the world, and I can't argue with that now that Kaylee Ray is on board. That's absolutely terrific, and I love it. 2 years is a long time to hold a championship, but there's no one I'd have rather taken the belt off of Walter than Ilya Dragunov. Their first match was one of the best matches I've seen in a long time. I'm going to go back and watch this match, which I'm sure is just as good, if not better. I mean, this may go down as these two matches are going to be the matches of the year for sure. It was absolutely terrific, and I enjoyed both. And I enjoyed the first one, and I'm sure the second was great. It was time for Walter to lose the title. I don't know if they're going to keep Walter in NXT, if they're going to move him up to either Raw or SmackDown, or if they're going to keep him in NXT UK. Because they can't keep Walter in NXT UK, I think, is because what else can he do there? Like, he was the champion there for 2 years. You'll get one more match out of Dragunov to complete the trilogy. They've got one apiece. Then Dragunov can go over Walter again at the next NXT UK pay-per-view. And then Walter can move on to what he's going to do next. But I can't wait to see this match. I'll go check it out. And then, of course, Karrion Kross drops titles to Samoa Joe. I called that. I figured that was happening. We can start to move Kross up to either Raw to stay on Raw permanently. We'll get into the new headgear thing here in just a little bit. But this was a good match. Great to see Samoa Joe make history as the only 3-time NXT champion. And, him using the Muscle Buster, all that stuff. It's just great to see Joe back in the ring. So that was really, really, really cool. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Raw and just a couple highlights from Raw that I saw. I mentioned earlier about the Bobby Lashley, Damian Priest, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre thing. I think that we're going to eventually see, and I hope that we see McIntyre versus Priest, Lashley, and Sheamus. And I think that this tag team match kind of set some of that stuff up. You've got the two faces can square off against each other, and the two heels can square off against each other. Turn Sheamus face, turn McIntyre heel, have them feud. I think that could be really, really, really cool. Now, everybody's like, oh my God, Karrion Kross has headgear. It's fine. Let it go. It's fine. They're trying to some things out for him on the main roster. It's going to be fine. Don't even worry about it. We'll get Scarlett with him soon. Relax, people. Relax. I cannot believe how much heat Logan Paul has. WWE needs to do something with this. They really need, this is insane kinds of heat. And if they've got something like this, they got to keep it going because people love to boo Logan Paul. Keep it going. I think this could be absolutely terrific with the heat that they got there. So then we get a match with Miz and Woods. Cool to see Xavier Woods in the NWO gear. I'm all about the NWO. And then we finally get the split between Miz and Morrison. And they've been teasing this for a while, and they finally did it. I'm hoping Morrison can go over Miz and then maybe challenge for a world title. I would be okay with seeing John Morrison challenge for a world title against Bobby Lashley. That could actually be kind of cool. Maybe do that at Survivor Series or at the December pay-per-view. That actually could be kind of neat. I would be okay with that as well. But we finally see the split, and we'll see what happens with that. Oh, my God. Every week, the 24/7 championship stuff with Reggie and R-Truth and Akira Tozawa is hilarious. I know, they're never going to main event WrestleMania, but God, it's funny. And all three of them just provide comedic value every week. I absolutely love it. The chemistry, and we'll talk about this more as we get into the main event, but the chemistry between RK Bro the RK Bro was absolutely hilarious. I think these two are absolutely genius. Riddle with the quote, "Will I do something stupid?" I think it's amazing. Oh, God, I think it's so funny. So they have great chemistry. Obviously, they'll keep the titles for a while. Great match to close the show, which we'll get into. Great match to close close the show with AJ Styles and Riddle. And then the RK Bro stands tall to end the show. By the way, I forgot to mention, we may get a match between Doudrop and Eva Marie. Doudrop says she's ready to be done with Eva Marie. Eva Marie, obviously hit her with the rolling cart. So we'll get a match between them. I don't know when that will happen, but we get that out of the way, and then hopefully Piper Niven can do her thing, because I think she's terrific. Absolutely terrific. Let's see here. Okay. Next thing I'll talk about is Charlotte. Looks like we're going to get Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss. Fine, I'm cool with that. I think Alexa Bliss is absolutely fantastic. Again, without Bray Wyatt, I don't think her gimmick really works. So hopefully we'll get some more. Hopefully Bliss can go back to her regular stuff soon. But that was all terrific. And I'm looking forward to seeing Alexa Bliss versus the Queen. That's going to be great. We get a tag team match. Nikki Ash, Rhea Ripley versus Tamina and Nia Jax. With Natalya being out of action right now. So again, I hope Shayna Baszler eventually kind of does her own thing. I think that will be all great. And then, again, to close the show, you have RK Bro doing their thing. They have great chemistry. We'll see how long this lasts. And then we'll get a good match with Riddle and Orton down the road to help Riddle enter World Championship contention. And those are the thoughts of Dericho this week. I hope you enjoyed those. It's always great to be with you. My final thought for the week is, I don't know about you all, but I am re-energized as a wrestling fan, and I cannot wait for the fall season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
This has been the Thoughts of Dericho. You're smarter now, man.